Suspicious netizens. Jungkook moves away. Jimin becomes the key behind this decision. The wave of speculation again shook the world of K-pop fans when the figure who has always been known to be present with a warm smile, Jungkook, suddenly seemed to take a distance. Not only from the media spotlight, but also from the moments that he usually lives with enthusiasm. This change is so felt, so real, that netizens on various platforms began to question. What exactly is happening? It all started from some public appearances that felt different. Jungkook, who usually actively interacts with the camera and fans, looks calmer, even tends to avoid the spotlight. His movements became more limited, his expression was more restrained, and his presence felt like a shadow of a figure that used to shine so brightly. It didn't take long for the pieces of this video to spread widely and become a hot topic of conversation. But what makes this situation even more interesting is one name that keeps appearing in every discussion. Jimin, a figure who has been known as Jungkook's close friend, a groupmate who has strong chemistry both on stage and behind the scenes. Netizens began to associate Jungkook's change in attitude with Jimin's role, giving rise to theory after theory that became increasingly wild. Some fans believe that Jungkook's decision to stay away is not something he took alone. They see the small gestures in the interaction between Jungkook and Jimin as hidden clues. Some say that Jimin looks more protective, as if protecting Jungkook from something that is invisible to the public. There are also those who judge that Jimin may be a figure who gives advice or even directions behind the scenes. But behind all that speculation, there is a deeper and more emotional narrative. Jungkook is not just an idol, he is a human with an extraordinarily big pressure on his shoulders. Since a young age, he has lived in the spotlight, living a busy schedule, and facing expectations that continue to increase over time. It is not surprising that at some point, he felt the need to take a step back to take care of himself. This is where Jimin's role becomes so important in the perspective of the fans. Not as a controlling figure, but as an understanding friend. Many believe that if there is indeed an influence from Jimin, then it comes from a caring place. Maybe Jimin saw something that no one else saw. Maybe he realized that Jungkook needed space, time, and tranquility. In some moments caught on camera, the interaction between the two actually shows a deeper closeness. Gazes that understand each other, small gestures that are full of meaning, to the presence that feels complementary. All of this becomes an analysis material for netizens who try to read what is really happening behind the scenes. But as usual, the internet world is never lacking in speculation. Some began to associate this change with industrial pressure. Some linked it to personal issues that were never confirmed. There are even those who try to build a dramatic narrative as if there is a hidden conflict. In fact, there is no real evidence to support those claims. In the midst of the frenzy of circulating theories, one thing that remains clear is the concern of fans. They are not only curious, but also caring. They want to know if Jungkook is okay, if this decision is the step he needs, or if there is something bigger that he is facing. And maybe this is where we need to stop for a while. Because behind all the speculations, there is a human who is living his life. Jungkook may choose to stay away not because there is something to hide, but because he is trying to find a balance. In a demanding world, taking distance can be a form of courage. If Jimin действительно has a role in this decision, then maybe the role is not as a key to the mystery that is full of intrigue, but as a friend who stands beside Jungkook in silence. Someone who doesn't need to talk much to be understood, whose presence alone is enough to give strength. Over time, maybe the answers to all these questions will be revealed. Or maybe not. And it doesn't matter, because not everything has to be known to the public. There are private spaces that should be kept, even for a figure as big as Jungkook. The most important thing is how we, as spectators and fans, choose to respond. Will we continue to drown in speculation, or do we choose to provide unconditional support? Because in the end, behind all the spotlights, Jungkook is someone who also needs to be understood, not just analyzed. And in the midst of all this, one simple question remains hanging in the air. Is this really about staying away, or is it about holding on? The answer may not be as clear as we imagine. But one thing is for sure, this story is not over. And like all other big stories, the truth is often much deeper than it looks on the surface. And when the public thought the story was starting to subside, a new wave of speculation reappeared, stronger, more emotional, and much deeper than before. Small pieces that were previously considered trivial are now brought up again, reanalyzed, even twisted into an increasingly dramatic narrative. Netizens no longer just ask, "What happened?" but start to get into a more sensitive realm. What does Jungkook really feel? In several recordings that are circulating, there are moments that feel awkward for some fans. Jungkook was seen looking away several times when the camera approached, even in the situation that he had always faced with confidence before. For some, this is just a small change. But for fans who have followed their long journey since the beginning of their debut, even the smallest change feels significant. They know Jungkook as a figure who is always total, always present, always giving the best. Until now, when he seems to be holding back, it feels like something is missing. And again, Jimin's shadow appeared in the middle of all this. Not as the center of controversy, but as a figure who is always near Jungkook in those moments that are considered different. Many began to notice how Jimin was often in a position that seemed to protect, both physically and emotionally. There are simple gestures such as standing closer, speaking in a softer tone, or even just giving a look that is difficult to explain with words. Some netizens began to build a theory that Jimin knew something that the public did not know, that there is a certain reason why he seems more present on Jungkook's side lately. But on the other hand, there are also those who try to suppress the speculation with a more rational view. They see this as a mature form of friendship, a relationship that has been tested by time, pressure, and shared experience. But what makes the situation more complex is how social media enlarges every detail. 1 second of video can be repeated thousands of times, one facial expression can be interpreted in various ways, and one moment of silence can be considered as a hidden message. In the digital era like today, the boundary between fact and interpretation is getting thinner. In the midst of all that, voices also appeared that tried to remind that Jungkook is a human, not just a public figure. That behind all the highlights, he also has limits, has emotions, and has the need to rest. Many fans are starting to call for the importance of giving space, respecting privacy, and not being too immersed in assumptions. But still, curiosity cannot be completely stopped, especially when some moments show such a clear contrast. On the one hand, Jungkook seems to move away from the camera. On the other hand, he still shows his warm side in certain interactions, especially with the people closest to him. This creates an incomprehensible duality. Does he really stay away, or just choose when and where he wants to be seen? There is also a theory that states that this may be part of the maturation process. That as people get older and experience, a person will start to be more selective in presenting themselves to the public. That maybe Jungkook is in a phase where he wants to control the narrative more about himself, no longer just following the existing flow. If seen from this point of view, then Jimin's presence is not as a director, but as a support. Someone who understands the change, who does not force, but instead supports. This kind of relationship is not built overnight. This is the result of years of togetherness, from difficult moments passed together, from trust that grows slowly but surely. And maybe this is what actually makes many people touched. Not only because of the mystery behind Jungkook's change, but because of the possibility that behind it all, there is a story about such a deep friendship. About how someone can be a place to lean on for others, without the need for many words, without the need for spotlight. As time goes by, the public may get more answers. Or maybe there are more and more questions. But one thing that has not changed is how Jungkook's every step will always be noticed, analyzed, and talked about. The question now is no longer just why did Jungkook stay away, but are we ready to accept that not everything we have to know? Because sometimes the mystery is not to be solved, but to be understood in a wiser way. And behind all the speculations, all theories, and all the debates, there is one simple thing that is often forgotten. Maybe Jungkook is just trying to breathe.